The wind on Blackwood Ridge did not just howl, it screamed like something alive and angry. Folks in the valley said only two things survived up there, the grey wolves and Thanos Mercer. Thanos Mercer sat alone in his cabin while the storm tried to tear the mountain apart. Snow slammed into the log walls like fists. Pine trees cracked in the distance, sharp and loud as gunshots. The cold was the kind that killed men quietly if they made one mistake. The old thermometer nailed to the porch post read 20 below zero, but Thanos did not need it. He felt the cold in his bones. He felt it in the stiffness of his left leg, the one that never healed right after an arrow found him years ago. At 52, he felt older than the mountain standing guard outside his door. He sat in a wooden rocking chair he had carved himself 10 winters earlier, staring at the iron stove glowing dull orange in the center of the cabin. His hands were thick and scarred, swollen from years of trapping and skinning. His beard was gray and rough. His eyes were sharp but tired. Thanos liked the silence. Silence did not ask him why he lived alone. Silence did not remind him of the life he walked away from. Silence let him pretend he was already a ghost. A low growl rolled across the cabin floor. Thanos looked down. His dog, a one-eared wolf mix named Buster, had lifted his head. The fur along the dog's spine stood up. "Easy," Thanos said. His voice was rough, unused. He had not spoken out loud in weeks, just the wind. But Buster stood, teeth bared toward the door. Thanos reached for the Sharp's rifle, leaning against the stone hearth. He moved slow but steady, the way a man does when every motion is learned through hard years. He blew out the kerosene lamp, letting the room fall into shadow, lit only by the stove. Then he heard it, not wind, a heavy thud against the porch. Then another, then scratching, weak and desperate. Thanos stepped closer to the door and leveled the rifle. "I ain't buying nothing," he shouted. "And I ain't got nothing to steal. Move on." No answer. Only the scratching again. Slower now. Thanos cursed under his breath. He unlatched the heavy oak door and kicked it open. The blizzard rushed in, filling the cabin with snow and cold. Something lay on the porch, a bundle of cloth half buried in white. Thanos scanned the storm for a horse, a rider, anything. There was nothing, just endless snow. He lowered the rifle and dragged the bundle inside, slamming the door shut with his boot. He turned the shape toward the stove. The hood fell back. Long hair spilled out, pale gold and frozen stiff. A face appeared, pale and blue with cold, lips cracked, cheeks hollow. Thanos froze. His heart slammed hard against his ribs. He knew that face. 10 years had passed and the girl was gone, replaced by a woman shaped by survival, but he knew her. "Clara," he whispered. Her eyelids fluttered. "Thanos," she breathed. The sound of his name from her mouth hit him harder than a fist. "You foolish girl," he growled, dropping to his knees. "What are you doing up here?" He did not wait for answers. He stripped the frozen coat from her and tossed it aside. He pulled off her boots. Her toes were white but not black. She was close, not gone. He rubbed her hands between his own, rough palms scraping against soft skin. He wrapped her in blankets and poured hot water with a splash of whiskey into a tin cup. "Drink slow," he ordered. She coughed, then swallowed. Her green eyes opened fully and fixed on him. Sharp eyes, brave eyes. "I found you," she whispered. "You found a good way to die," Thanos snapped. The pass is closed. "I walked the last 3 miles," she said weakly. "My horse broke his leg. 3 meters in that storm." Thanos turned away, jaw tight. "Get warm. You're stuck here till the storm breaks." "Thanos!" He stared out the window. "Then I'm taking you back to Sweetwater to your husband." The silence that followed felt heavier than the snow outside. "I don't have a husband anymore, Clara." Thanos gripped the window frame until his knuckles went white. He did not ask how. The storm lasted 3 days. For the first day, Thanos barely spoke. He kept the fire. He cooked venison stew. He slept on the floor with his rifle while Clara took his bed. She moved through the cabin like she belonged there. She swept. She mended a tear in his shirt. She never complained. On the second night she spoke. "You haven't asked why I came. You're leaving when the snow clears. It matters to me, I ain't a priest." She stood and faced him. "Stop acting like stone. I remember the man who carved whistles. That man is still here. That man is dead," Thanos said. He pointed to the scars on his face, the grey in his beard. "I am too old. I got nothing to offer." She stepped closer. "I didn't come for comfort. I came for you." Thanos laughed, bitter and sharp. "I'm too old for marriage. I've waited for you," Clara said. The word shook something loose inside him. "You married Arthur Halloway," he said. "I married him because my father was dying," she answered. "Because I was scared." Thanos roared, then years of anger breaking free. "I left because I was nothing. And I was safe," she asked softly. He finally looked at her closely. He saw the bruise hidden near her jaw, the way she held her arms stiff, the fear she carried. "What did he do?" then asked quietly. "Arthur is dead," Clara said. "He hurt my son. I stopped him. His brother will not forgive it." Thanos felt cold spread through him, deeper than winter. "His brother," he said. "The sheriff," she nodded. "He's coming." She took his hand. "I came because you are the only man strong enough to stop him." Thanos looked at her, at the woman who had crossed hell to find him. He stood and took down his cartridge bell from the wall. "You ain't too late," he said. "And I ain't too old." Outside, the storm began to fade, and far below the ridge, men were already riding toward Blackwood Mountain. The blizzard broke at dawn on the fourth day, the sky above. Blackwood Ridge turned pale pink, then hard blue. Snow lay deep and clean, hiding blood, tracks, and lies. The silence after the storm felt sharp, like the mountain was holding its breath. Thanos Mercer did not sleep. He stood at the window and watched the train, rifle close, jaw set. He knew men like the sheriff. They did not come alone, and they did not come fair. Behind him, Clara moved quietly. She wrapped herself in a blanket and watched him. The fire popped softly. Buster lay alert, ears twitching. "Get dressed," Thanos said without turning. "Stack anything heavy against the door." "Are they coming?" Clara asked. "Not yet, but the trail is clear. They'll ride up by noon." Thanos stepped outside. The cold bit hard. Worse now without the storm's cover. He moved to the shed and came back with wire, bear traps, and a crate of dynamite. His bad leg dragged, but he ignored it. Pain was just noise. He worked fast and sure. Tripwires across the narrow path, traps buried deep where the snow looked untouched. He memorized every step like a map burned into his head. When he came back inside, Clara had beans and biscuits waiting. "Eat," she said. "You should be halfway to Montana," he muttered. "I'm not running anymore," she said. He chewed slowly. "A gunfight ain't like stories. It's loud. It smells bad. People die ugly." Clara reached across the table and covered his hand. "I lived in fear every day for 10 years. Loud doesn't scare me." He stopped eating and looked at her hand on his. "I'm sorry," he said. The word felt heavy and strange. "Can you shoot?" he asked. "Yes," she said. Arthur kept a revolver. Thanos handed her a heavy gun. "2 rules, keep low, don't shoot unless you must." "And the third?" she asked. "If I go down, you run." "I promise," she whispered. Buster suddenly barked hard. Thanos peered through the shutter. Down the valley, 5 riders moved against the white. He knew the lead man at once. The sheriff rode tall, badge shining like a lie. They stopped at the edge of the clearing. "I know she's in there," the sheriff shouted. "Send her out." Thanos opened the window, a crack, and fired. The bullet took the sheriff's hat clean off. "That's my answer." Thanos roared. Gunfire exploded. Bullets slammed into logs, glass shattered. Thanos fired calm and steady, dropping one man to a scream and another to the snow. A trap snapped. A man howled. Then the back door blew open. Clara fired first. The shot went wide, but it saved her life. Thanos charged with his knife. They went down hard in the snow. Hands clawed, breath burned. Clara fired again. The man fell. The sheriff shouted orders. Torches flew. Fire licked the roof. "The cellar," Thanos said. He pulled the trapdoor open. "Go." She refused until he followed. He lit a fuse and threw the dynamite. The blast tore the cabin apart as they dropped into darkness. They escaped through a tunnel to the creek bed. Smoke rose behind them. Thanos did not look back. They moved fast through ice water, breath ragged. Horses thundered above on the rim. "We head east," Thanos said. "Box Canyon. We make a stand." Shots cracked from above. Stone chipped. Blood ran down Thanos's cheek. Under an overhang, he pushed Clara to cover. "Run when I draw fire." "No," she said. He ran anyway. Bullets chased him. One burned his side. He kept moving and wedged himself into a narrow choke point. The sheriff rode into view with 2 men. "End of the road," the sheriff called. "I ain't running," Thanos said. Shots rang out. Thanos charged, a misfire. He dropped the rifle and ran on a bad leg with a knife and a revolver. Clara climbed above them on a ledge. "Toby is not 7, she shouted. "He is 9. The world stopped. Thanos understood in a heartbeat. The boy was his. The sheriff smiled. "Cruel. I'll kill the whole bloodline." He raised his gun. Thanos fired. Misfire again. Clarif. The sheriff fell backward. Dead in the snow, the last man fled. Thanos collapsed. Clara held him as blood soaked the white ground. "I ain't too old," Thanos whispered. "Not anymore." Darkness took him. When Thanos woke, light filled the room. Clean sheets, soft voices, Clara's hands. "You lived," she said. "Where's the boy?" he asked. "He's safe." A moment later, a boy stepped in, grey eyes like stone, hands holding a piece of wood and a small knife. Thanos felt his chest break open. "Hello," he said. "Hello," the boy said. "You like carving?" "Yes." "Want me to teach you?" The boy nodded. Thanos looked at Clara. "No more secrets." "Are you my paw?" the boy asked. Thanos cried for the first time in 10 years. "Yes," he said. "I'm sorry I was late." Outside, the mountains stood quiet. The fight was over, but the healing had just begun. Darkness did not take Thanos all at once. It came in waves, pulling him under, then pushing him back. Fever burned through him. His shoulder throbbed like fire. His leg felt like it had been filled with stone. Through the haze he heard a voice. "Stay," the voice said. "You don't get to leave." Cool hands pressed against his forehead. Water touched his lips. The sharp sting of alcohol cleaned wounds. Every time the dark tried to drag him away, that voice pulled him back. When Thanos finally opened his eyes and kept them open, the world looked soft and bright. Sunlight poured through a window with thin white curtains. The air smelled of herbs and clean cloth, not smoke or blood. He tried to sit up and groaned. Pain shot through his shoulder and forced him back down. "Don't," Clara said firmly. She stepped into view, holding a bowl of water. She looked tired. Dark circles sat under her green eyes. Her hands were red and rough, but she was clean and steady. "Where am I?" then asked. His voice sounded broken. "Widow Miller's house," Clara said. "You've been here a week." "A week?" he whispered. "The doctor said you were stubborn," she said. "He said you should be dead." Thanos gave a weak breath. That might have been a laugh. "He ain't the first." She cleaned his wound carefully. "You lost a lot of blood, but you're alive." Thanos stared at the ceiling for a long moment. "The sheriff dead," Clara said. "The man who ran talk told everyone the truth. Sweetwater is done with him." Thanos closed his eyes, and the boy, Claire's hand, paused. "He's outside," she said softly. "He's been waiting." Thanos's chest tightened. "Bring him in." Clara hesitated, then nodded. She opened the door. "Toby," she said, "come here." A boy stepped inside, holding a small piece of wood and a pocket knife. He stopped when he saw Thanos and stood very still. Thanos forgot how to breathe. The boy had Clara's nose, but the rest was him. The same eyes, the same quiet watchfulness. "Hello," Thanos said gently. "Hello, sir," Toby said. "I hear you like carving." "Yes, sir." Thanos pointed to the wood. "May I see?" Toby stepped closer and handed it over. Thanos turned it in his hand, feeling the grain. "You're cutting against the wood," Thanos said softly. "You got to listen to it." Toby's eyes widened. "Can you teach me?" "I'd like that," Thanos said. "I got time now." Toby glanced at Clara, then back at Thanos. "Are you my paw?" The question hit harder than any bullet. Thanos felt his eyes burn. He nodded once. "Yes, son." Toby smiled and leaned into Clara's side. Thanos closed his eyes, letting a single tear run free. For 10 years he thought his life was over. He was wrong. The weeks passed slowly. Thanos healed inch by inch. He learned to walk again with a deeper limp. He learned to rest. He learned that letting others help did not make him weak. The cabin on Blackwood Ridge was never rebuilt. The mountain kept its scars. Instead, a small house rose just outside Sweetwater. It had wide windows and a long porch. Thanos built it himself, board by board. He no longer trapped or hunted for blood. He worked wood now, tables, chairs, cradles. People came from far towns to buy them. On warm evenings, Thanos sat on the porch in his rocking chair. His leg achy, but he did not mind. Buster slept nearby, old and grey. Toby ran through the yard with a kite Thanos had made him, laughing as the wind caught it. The screen door creaked open. Clara stepped out with 2 cups of coffee. She wore a yellow ribbon in her hair. She handed him a cup and sat beside him. "You thinking about the mountain?" she asked. "No," Thanos said. "I was thinking about something foolish I once said." Clara smiled. "You said many foolish things. I said I was too old for marriage." She leaned into him. "And you were wrong." Thanos watched his son run through the grass. He felt the warmth of the woman who waited for him through fear and pain. "I wasn't too old," Thanos said quietly. "I was just missing something." Clara rested her head on his shoulder. The wind moved through the trees, gentle now, no longer a scream. For the first time in his life, Thanos Mercer was